How very exciting. It's Driveway to Hell in association with Downforce Radio. And what have we got for you guys today? Well, we've got Charlie and Andy Skelton's driveway. So I asked people, can I come to your drive, do the review or the preview of Oulton Park? Why should I do it there? Where do you live? Well, I'm not going to say exactly where Charlie and Andy live, but unfortunately Andy is at work and Charlie is working from home, so yeah, his wife Charlie is looking after me today, which is nice, isn't it? Would you trust me with your wife? I'll have to ask her that question in a minute. Anyway, right, what have we got? So we've got Oulton Park coming up. We had a fantastic Brands Hatch, and also we've got Adam Morgan to talk to, who won the reverse grid race last time out at Brands Hatch. We're going to speak to Jade Edwards. Jedwards, lovely. Speak to Jade, see how it's all going. And if she's looking forward to obviously Oulton Park as well. And also we are going to speak to our little regular, and he's not little either, Matt Neal, the tallest man alive. Unbelievable, Jeff. So Matt Neal's going to give us some things to look for as well. But I've got to say, it's around Crewe, Stoke, round here. I'm not going to say exactly where it is, but it is lovely, and there's a beautiful view outside of Charlie and Andrew's beautiful little house, and the X5 parks perfectly on this drive, so that is beautiful. I've got all my notes, so that's nice, so we can talk a bit about that. I've got all the weights for the upcoming round at Oulton. There's been the 2-day tyre test a couple of weeks ago as well, so there's a bit to chat on that. And I've also got all the well, actually I thought I had all the times from the test, but I obviously haven't. I've got the championship points as well, so we'll entwine all of that as we go along. Right, so I think first of all, I think I better ring Matt Neal, because I told him I'd shout him pretty much soon as oh, here's Charlie. Charlie, can you come to my passenger side door, please? Can you come to my passenger side door, please? Yeah. Thank you. So this is Charlie. She's not happy about this. I've just been saying that your husband has proper thrown you under the bus and said, oh yeah, you can come on our drive, and he's not here. Yeah. It's nice of him, isn't it?
He's absolutely dropped me in it, yeah.
Yeah, and just so you know, COVID regulations, that's my cup. I've actually brought that here, so yes, it's very nice, isn't it? So thank you very much. I will take that off you, and thank you. I'm going to now ring Matt Neal, so I'll probably just catch you in a bit, if that's all right.
Okay.
If I need anything, I'll give you a beep. That sounds really bad, actually, doesn't it? I'm really sorry, but yeah. That's lovely, and you've got a lovely drive, Charlie. Thank you. Right, perfect. Let's crack on. Right, let's give Matty a ring. Let's see what's going on. Right, I hope Charlie doesn't think I'm very rude. That was quite a rude thing to say, wasn't it? Right, well, first of all, we better put my Bluetooth back on, because otherwise it's not going to ring Matt Neal, is it? So once we are involved in that, which it looks like it's done, let's give him a ring. I hate technology. Absolutely hate technology. Right, we're on now. We should be on. Mobile devices. Paul's phone. Connect it. It's like a video for a new car, isn't it? There we go, we're on now. There we go. Here we go. Let's get that wind up. Oh.
West Brom Laundrette, can I help you?
You've been waiting, haven't you, for about an hour and a half probably for me to ring. I'm always late. I'm so sorry, Matt.
It's no good. I'll put my clothes back on now.
I texted you before, didn't I? And you said that you were stripped off and everything, ready and waiting. I said I'd be a bit
Indeed.
late on. Oh my word. Firstly, it was nice to see you at the Grand Prix, mate. And thanks for looking after us, because I was a state when I...
Were you at the Grand Prix? I can't remember myself. Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, because you were brushing your teeth in Tommy Drulin's hospo, weren't you?
My word, mate. That was one of the funniest nights I've had for a long time, that actually. I've not seen so many people, just pitching up, and Pete Crawler was there, your old Honda team boss. It was a good scene, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was. It's one of those events of the year that you get to catch up with people you don't the rest of the year. You know, they're few and far between, but it's not. Yeah, it's always nice to catch up with everybody.
Yeah, you were one of the first people I've seen there actually, and you looked proper dishevelled.
Why?
Dishevelled.
Because my head was sticking out above everybody else's. Was it?
No, I seen you in the afternoon, but you wouldn't have remembered that because you were battered.
I was a little bit tired.
Talking of randomers, mate, I heard some full-on stories, and we're not going to talk about them, but some of the stories I heard from that campsite about people that me and you know very well were just insane, weren't they?
Well, it's, again, as I say, it's one of those events where you all catch up and you let your hair down a bit, and you know, because normally at a racetrack you're all disciplined because you're not. You know, you're driving, and then so you're not drinking, you're not doing this, and suddenly it's sort of a bit of a yee-haw, isn't it? So yeah, but
good crack, mate. It was good to see everyone. Hey, listen, it's a bit weird, this one. So this is obviously the Driveway to Hell, and you've been on it a couple of times, mate, and it's great to have your input. I put on Twitter and Instagram the other day. I was like, just anyone that wants me to come onto their drive and do the Driveway to Hell and have a little special. Then just give us a shout. Well, I'm actually on Andy and Charlie Skelton's driveway near Crewe. I've drove down here. It took me like an hour, and Chaz has actually just brought me a coffee out, which was lovely.
You mean they accidentally put on social media that they left the keys in the car on the drive? 10 minutes later, you turn up.
I knew that was going to happen. I'm just going to go and check the windows and doors now.
Old habits die hard, mate.
Oh, mate, they live in such a lovely place as well. I think he's got a bit of OCD. He's got stripes in the grass and stuff, which is a bit random. Anyway, Matthew, talk to me about what's going on. Firstly, with Dynamics and Row Bottom and Sheds. I mean, every time I speak to you, there seems to be hardly any rhythm to Gordon's season, but the speed is there, and it's so frustrating, isn't it, to see what's been going on? But Row Bottom's been, I think, quite a revelation.
Yeah, the speed's there. The speed's good in the car. It's just a bit of luck. We need. Okay, they were light at Brands, but the front row lock out of Brands, and then I sort of I had a dig at the pair of them after Brands. Told them they successfully stole defeat out the jaws of victory that weekend. But you need some luck, mate. You know, Dan is, I think, exceeded all our expectations, and I think probably his own.
Yeah.
It's just trying to keep it real. You know, he had a great Truxton, and then he was going, oh, right, I want to go to Snetton, I want to get a podium. He's buoyed up, and I'm going, slow down. Yeah. Everyone slow down a bit, you know. And then he had a tough Snet, so then his sort of feet were back on the ground, and he had a good solid brand. So we just need to keep his feet on the ground, and Flash just needs to get a win under his belt this year, and then I think that would get the monkey off his back this year, and you know, and suddenly get the ball rolling, because you can't afford to. He's given some meetings away, and with the likes of Ashley and co, you know, Colin's doing it. Colin's giving meetings away, and you can't afford to do that. And you've got new cars that have come to the fore now. You know, now Ingram's gone to Accelerate. Suddenly, that's a force. You know, he and that Hyundai are a force to be reckoned with. And, you know, he's getting some proper good results out of it.
I think now is the time, isn't it? I when I was speaking to Steve Ryder in the studio, I've got to say that we would be absolutely, you know, stupid people to say that is not one of Ashley Sutton's like targets, isn't it? That car that is one of the better front wheel drive cars now. It's been to circuits now that I'm thinking, well, is it going to be all right at the next one? It's going to be there, isn't it? It's going to be like your FK8 Honda. It's going to be quick everywhere, isn't it?
Well, that was the thing with a lot of these other cars. They have a few races of brilliance in the past, and then they suddenly lose their way. And it's the consistency is always the name of the game. But Tom, fair play to Tom, he does drive it on the edge everywhere. So, and he's every weekend, new weekend we've arrived this year, he disappoints me by being fast again. So I think, oh Christ, he's on it again. So we've got to deal with him again. But he is. He's just showing his worth, really. Yeah.
What did you make of actually, just to nip back to Brands, what did you make of the driving standards there, mate? What did you think of all that?
Tight. I think Well, I don't know. I wasn't actually at Brands on the races, so and I didn't see the TV. I watched a little bit of it because I was with Eurosport in between the World Touring Car races. So I couldn't comment, mate. I couldn't comment. I'm always biased to our guys anyway. So
yeah, no, that's fair enough. I just thought there was a bit of push to pass him, which would have been disciplined, like a lot of the time.
Okay, right. What I will comment is they wrote a new format to rules out at the beginning of this year of what was allowed and what's not allowed, and everyone went, okay, that's fair enough. And now nobody's adhering to it, and they're not doing anything about it.
Right.
And we've been and said, with the rules that they wrote out and gave to us, and we've been up there and gone, hang on a minute, this is not what you gave us. Not interested. Get on with it.
Really?
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I've had James Cole on to me, who's the driver
standards. Don't make a rule if you don't want to keep it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, we just need to all know what.
Because it just ends up in a free for all again. Because it'll end up with someone gets you, they don't get penalised for it. So then the vigilante scheme talks you, so you take the law into your own hands, and it ends up getting out of control. The whole thing will get out of control again.
Yeah, and that's what happened, wasn't it? Even when I was in it, it was starting to get like that. Back 10 years ago, it was like tit for tat, wasn't it? And it just didn't end.
You just keep on bringing up clearways of Brands, don't you? You've still not got over it.
I never got you back for that.
H hasn't got me back for that.
Ian Harrison's actually coming to my house pretty soon, so we'll just come down to yours and do you in.
I didn't know there were any rivers he could sail near your house on his boat.
Oh, there's the River Mersey, mate. He's going to stop off. It runs right past my house. Oh dear me, that was let's not talk about that day anyway. Listen, the other thing I was going to ask you about, the tyre test at Oulton that you guys did the 2 days of, bit hit and miss, wasn't it, wet and dry, but you looked very quick in both conditions. Is that, and the Hondas were the fastest things there by the looks of it, but you can't read too much into it, I suppose, can you? Yeah,
the strange thing there was, it's the first time we've all been head to head with a hybrid car, which I think ran really well on the second day. They had a few niggles the first day, which is okay. But ran faultlessly on the second day. But looking back at the speed traps, hybrid car, extra 40 to 50 horsepower down the straights, and he's sort of 11th to 12th in the speed traps. So we didn't really understand that. What's happening? Was the hybrid car working? I know they didn't get out on new tyres, so they said they didn't set a time and all the rest of it. But just a bit. Yeah, because none of us, any teams, including I think there's Speedworks who run it. Their normal Rory and all that lot are allowed anywhere near it. They're not allowed any data off it. They're not allowed to look at it. Nothing.
Really?
And there was going to be nothing. And there was going to be there's a hybrid committee of which Barry, who's my engineer or was my engineer, he's on, and they were going to have a powwow and look around it at the end of Oulton, and they went, no, it got called off and no one was allowed near it again. So
really, that's interesting, isn't it? It's the shades of the NGTC rules when they come in 2011. Like it was a bit all over the shop, wasn't it? But I mean, obviously it's a great format now. But I don't know, you never know what they're up to, I suppose. As long as everyone else is not seeing the data, like you say, you don't want to be left behind, do you?
But going back to NGTC, with all due respect, it only got sorted out. They went, oh, we're developing it in year one, and what we all walked into was an absolute nightmare. Yeah. Because the people weren't. Don't get me wrong. Christian is a serious guy and they're a serious team and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But the people who were first into NGTC were flagging things up and they weren't being taken seriously. And then suddenly we flag things up when we all get in there a year later and they go, oh, well, that's the first we've heard about that, but it wasn't. And it's a mess, and then it's a drama because everyone's in it. When you got the car trying to walk out the pit lane of Brands because you've put a little bit of toe out on the back or something like that. It's just, it was a handful. Yeah. I mean, it's all water under the bridge now, but
it is.
I do think keeping it cloak and dagger and close to your chest, especially when it's new tech and some people, we're all in the same boat. We're all trying to get to the same end and create something that's good for the championship. And well, that's my opinion, but I'm sure Others will have a different one.
Yeah, what do you...
But obviously do.
The last bit on it then. Yeah, no, the last bit on it though then, Matt, I mean, we spoke about it last time. It was always coming. It needs to be, done. And do you think it's going to make that much difference in the racing?
I hope it doesn't make it too easy to pass like Formula One is, because that's like as soon as you get near someone, you're through. It's got to be a challenge. I hope it doesn't make the cars too heavy and too much like a barge. I mean, I remember when I went from Super Touring to BTC and then S2000, and that was lower horsepower and heavier cars. And then I went from S2000 to NGTC, and that was like jumping in an oil tanker compared out of a speedboat because of the extra weight involved. And now we're going heavier again. And okay, we're increasing it with horsepower, but it just makes the cars less nimble. We'll be over a third of a ton heavier than we were in Super Touring days. And that's you talk about 10 kilos, not 300 kilos. Yeah. So it makes them a big, heavy barge. And I hope that doesn't destroy some of the racing, because you get the momentum going and you can't stop it. So you get a guy commits to a corner, goes for a lunge. He ain't going to haul the car up. If suddenly the car in front changes direction, he ain't going to stop the car because the car's going,
That's very true, mate. And like you say, with S2000, I always said to people, as soon as turbochargers come in, it was a different ball game, because when we were all naturally aspirated, if you got like a 10-inch overlap on someone, you could carry that down the straight and it'd be a battle royale for the next corner. But I think as the regs have changed, it's the racing has changed, isn't it? Because the cars just handle differently.
Yeah, I mean, S2000, the cars, it was a bit more fun because the cars are like Super Touring. The cars were a little bit more on the edge because they had narrower wheels and tyres, and they were lighter. You go back to Super Touring, we were only on 8-inch wide wheels. And then S2000 went to 9-inch wide, and now we're on 10-inch wide, which is great. So it increases the mechanical grip. So in theory, you can run nose to tail. The aero still has an effect, but it increases the better racing in theory. But they'll try and combat it, but there's always a con to the pro, isn't there?
Yeah, no, it is true, mate. I know, it's very true. And I didn't, I jumped in just after Super Tourers, but I was always amazed at how fast those cars were. And it was only when, the DC5 Integra that you guys built that I drove was just absolutely phenomenal. And then the S2000 cars were pretty good, but when I've driven NGTC, I've not driven brilliant ones. I've driven Speedworks' Toyota when they were first out, but they just felt quite cheap, I thought, the initial ones of them. But now obviously it's a different ball game. They're a lot better. Yeah, the first NGTC car I jumped in was one that they'd built in-house at GPRM or something, and I thought, oh my god, have I got to drive this? Yeah. It was really a case of that, and it's only when Dynamics built the FK2 that was something you felt home in, but it still felt heavy and everything. But it's what we had to deal with. But the first ones, I think I sat in one of the Toyotas. I went, oh my god, that's I wasn't impressed. Yeah, I know, mate. I know. I remember I drove. It felt like a disconnected GT car from like back in the day, like an old GT3. It was hard work, mate. It was nothing like the old RML Chevy Cruze that I drove. It's probably one of the best touring cars I've driven there. A couple of things, fella. We spoke about Shedden, we spoke about Rowbottom. What about what have you made of Jack Goff this year? He's done a good job, hasn't he?
He has done a good job. You put Jack in the Honda back in the day, in the Eurotech Honda, he could have easily won the championship. So, he's up there. He's just, it's circumstance of being in the right kit at the right time, and they've obviously it's working. So he's a good target. He's a good benchmark for all the other guys in the Seats. So it's good for Tony, running them. It's good for Jack, I think. Getting adverse weather, or he's even proved it in normal weather conditions. So it's just, Paul, we've we've all got the same box of bits.
Yeah.
And, Toka engine, we've all got the same sort of power. So there is absolutely no reason why they can't do it. This is what Tom has proved inside out, that with the Hyundai. It's all about the engineer-driver relationship and how you screw them together. So there's no reason why Jack shouldn't be up there doing the same as Tom is with the Hyundai, really. But yeah, good job.
Yeah, no, fair play, mate. I'm with you. What about then? I'm going to speak to Adam Morgan in 10 or 15 minutes time, but his teammate Tom Chilton is having a nightmare, mate. I know you've had him at Dynamics. I think Tom would be the first person to put his hand up and say it's not working out for me. Why would that be, do you think? Is it just a rear-wheel drive thing, that?
Who knows? I don't know, but to be fair, I thought Adam would be stronger force than he is, because he was Ginetta G55 champion, so he knows rear-wheel drive. It'd be like going home, putting an old suit on for him, and it hasn't happened. Now, what we did say at the beginning of the year is, at Dynamics, we're always too honest. We give anybody who buys our cars, we give them too much. We give them everything.
Yeah.
But it would people say you make a rub for your own back, but we like to say, well, we've had it done to us in the Super Touring era, so we would never do it to anybody else, and we haven't. But I know Dick, and I know what he's like, and we said, well, that's great, because it's not two more BMs on the grid, because Dick won't like them battling him, and we like to think we're battling West Surrey, so it'll take Sisley out of the game. I'm just being brutally honest here. Yeah. And at the moment it has, because they haven't been in the game. Adam had a good race at Brands, starting off the front, and the BM was a bit of a weapon of choice around there, and drove a solid race. But for qualifying, when you actually need raw speed, there's some reason why the two Sisley cars aren't doing it. I don't know. Obviously their data's secret, and as well as ours is to the opposition, but they just because I put Adam as equal, in one of those things as Oliphant stood on his head. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. Don't know. Good question.
Interesting. No, but Oliphant had a good weekend, didn't he? I thought the BMWs in general were struggling in general, but Oliphant proved them wrong. He actually drove really well. Probably the best weekend I've ever seen him have.
he's lead driver at the minute, isn't he? So he's done well. So you've got to say good on him. Bar driving one of our drivers off the road at Brands. Let's say la vie. Yeah. But yeah, it's. I think it's. Is it Oliphant overperforming, or is it Turks underperforming at the minute in the West Surrey scenario? Because that BMW, it still is a class car, but it just Turks hasn't. It hasn't happened for him this year for whatever reason. He hasn't got going yet.
Yeah, and time starts to tick, doesn't it? Because it's getting into near halfway.
You're 30%. Yeah, 30% of the way there already. Yeah.
Just another couple of things, Matt. What have you made of PMR? And are they? I mean, to be fair, Daniel Lloyd has actually been under the radar. He's not far off Jason in the championship.
Yeah, I think he's just there, isn't he? Staying out of trouble, which is good. I think they're there at every race meeting. I don't know. It doesn't surprise me every time they're close to the front. Yeah. I don't know why they can't actually get to the front two rows in qualifying. Because again, it's the same box of bits. Because they've got a good team of guys there. I think Dan's been good for Jason because he'll push them along, and he's not an offensive person. He just gets on with it. And he's fast. There should be no reason why they won't get some race wins under the belts. Yeah. I think maybe adverse weather conditions. That car always goes well in adverse weather. Josh was always like. I mean, Josh is is like lightning. And if it rains this weekend, my money goes on Josh Cook. So
yeah, because he won at Oulton, didn't he? That it took off him.
He just comes alive, and when it's tricky conditions, he comes to the fore, steps up to the plate. So, and he always did in the Vauxhall as well. So.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, but the Vauxhall always goes well. I think they run it a bit softer, which helps them in those conditions.
Yeah, that's interesting then. So, well there's the next question then. I'll let you go in a minute. What do you think will come of Oulton Park then? I know it's always difficult to predict, but are you thinking it's front wheel drive for sure? What Ash Sutton, is it front wheel drive with Ash Sutton always involved, or is it rear wheel drive? Is it
well,
BMW?
Thing is, the BMW, the speed the BM and the rear wheel drives can carry through turn one, they're a gear up on the front wheel drive cars.
Really?
And then they're fifth gear through turn one at Oulton.
Wow.
And then the traction they've got out of the hairpin, out of Nickelbrook chicane, out of Lodge, they can turn it. Where I know where the Honda scores is high speed stuff, but really high speed stuff. You've got turn one a bit,
Druids.
Cascades, and then you've got Druids, which the Honda's really strong for, but it's quite easy to defend at Oulton, so qualifying is going to be super critical.
Yeah.
Really critical. I mean, both our cars are in fairly good shape, or poor shape in that, because we're not carrying that much weight. So it all depends on the weather.
Yeah.
I think if we can see a dry qualifying, and it's 50-50 at the minute, we should. I'd hope to see both cars in the front three rows. If it's not, I mean, it's anybody's game. I think, in the wet, the front wheel drives always used to have the edge over the BMWs and the rear wheel drives, but that's not the case anymore. Not with Ashley. In the wet, he's like the boogeyman coming to get you. He's just annoyingly quick everywhere, isn't he? He's absolutely honest.
Absolutely. Do you know someone else as well? Jake Hill. I think if it's wet, I think he'll have a real good turn of pace round there in that Focus.
I think wet or dry, Jake will be there, mate. Yeah. He's really driving that well this year. So
yeah. Can I just ask you about Gordon quickly, because I spoke to him before the tyre test. He was asking me about some cycle routes, and what's he like mentally at the minute? Is he just taking every weekend as it comes, or is he panicking that he's not going to be at the championship end, at the finals? Because I always know Gordon he just needs to be at the end of the Brands Hatch event, doesn't he? He just needs to be there to win it.
Yeah, I mean, you've always got weight advantage if you're not in it at the moment. I think, but it was 16 or something when he won the championship. Then he actually had a better start. He didn't have as good a start as he has done this year. So he was really in the doldrums when he got to the halfway point, and it all came alive at the second half. But the competition's strong. You've got Quick Hyundai, Quick Ford, the Infinities. You Jack Goff coming into the thing. It's every year the game raises. So we are going to go to some circuits which are going to suit the rear wheel drives more. Croft, Knock Hill. They're going to be good hunting grounds for the rear wheel drives where we struggle, and especially, for the first time, we're all going to have to run the soft tyre at Croft. So that's going to be really touch and go. Who can get to the end of the races on their soft tyre there, especially with the traction you need, including the rear wheel drives. He's not worrying yet. He's been pretty cool. Dan's more looking at the end, where he's going to end up and what he's got to do each race meeting and points wise and that at the moment. Flash is just he's been pretty cool. We were down at Goodwood yesterday testing, a DB4 Aston Martin, and he was cool there. He was quick there, obviously, which he always is. Jumped in the car, so I think I don't know. Well, see as it comes. I'm going to be up chipping on to him on the radio, or both of them this weekend again. So I'm back on it.
It must be weird that for Sheds having you on the radio, because he'll have never really had that before. Because unless you've had car-to-car radio, but I'm sure that's not really, you're not allowed that, are you? But yeah, that must be.
No,
weird.
The thing is when on the radio is because life's coming at you a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So the way your thought process is happens a lot quicker. So with certain people, they can't differentiate between that and how they speak. So Flashy speaks very eloquently, okay, in a Scottish accent.
Yeah.
In normal conversation, he speeds up, and so you can't. Hardly anyone can understand what he's saying. And then Dan's the opposite. He starts because he's busy. He starts to mumble on the radio. So you're getting one in one ear, one in the other ear, and it does become an art. I've had a drill at them both again about radio etiquette, so you can understand what they're saying. But going back to Thruxton, Flash liked me on the radio actually because he came back and afterwards I said, how was that? Because I haven't done it before. And he goes, oh, I like that because you're reading the race differently to what other people, and what's happening. So some of the intel, I'm conscious of steading on their engineers' toes because that's the prime point of contact. But some of the information I maybe see and give and encouragement, it's a mental game. So you're trying to encourage them for, to get that extra bit of performance out themselves and, you want them to push them right to the end.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I've had a couple of drivers talking to me on radios, but not in touring cars, more in GT racing when the other driver that's waiting to get in the car will start chatting to you and you just feel like telling them to shut up because you've won a million more things than them. Steve Clark.
You do your best Kimi Räikkönen accent on them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or just pull the radio out. Listen, fella, last question. COVID sounds like it's been massively relaxed at Oulton. Well, it doesn't sound like it is. How do you go about that as a team, logistically? Do you keep all of your team away from the general public? Because last thing you need is somebody getting it, don't you? And I know it can you can pick it up anyway, but it's a bit of a worry, isn't it? If they're if the general public in the paddock or somebody gets it in the team and then it runs rife, doesn't it? Because it's quite bad at the minute.
Well, it's a good question. I mean, I thought that it was open house, but I didn't know whether It's a good question. I didn't know, or I didn't think the public were allowed in the paddock itself yet.
Oh, right, okay.
And there's no pit road walkabout, and there's still no driver briefing this weekend. There was going to be.
Oh.
And it's gone back to being an online thing. So I think the public will be out of the paddock, and we'll stay in our bubble. We'll stay to ourselves. It's still out there. Mm-hmm. You just got to be sensible, haven't you? I mean, we'll just get on with the job in hand and try and enjoy the weekend, come away with some good results and put on some good racing.
Yeah, no, definitely, mate. It says here, actually, Stuart Bowen, who's a good mate of mine, he tweeted me before because he was asking me about it and I didn't know because I've been offline a bit. But he put, managed to get hold of Oulton Park, no pit lane walkabout, but paddock is open as normal.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so that's come from Oulton Park. So that is interesting, isn't it? Yeah, because I was at Goodwood and you've been at Silverstone with me, and I think we know ourselves that there's a lot of cases. I've been getting phone calls off people saying, "Oh, mate, it's this and it's that." I've been testing every day, just because of my health as well. But yeah, it's a difficult one to call, isn't it?
It's a little bit different. I speak to the guys in various parts of the world, and Australia is one of them. And I was talking to the guys in Brisbane last week, and I said, "Oh, you've locked down again?" Yeah, we had to lock down. They found 2 cases in the city.
I heard
2 cases, and they locked down for 3 days. They're going to be going like that in 10 years' time. They're still going to be doing this. So I think what we're doing is you've got to get on with it, but try and be sensible.
Mm.
Keep washing those hands.
Yeah, exactly. Keep washing those hands and stop talking to women. I know what you're like. Actually, I was looking after Karen. I was looking after your wife at the BRDC, mate. It was good to see her. She's in good form.
I wonder why she was so poorly on the Sunday morning. Someone was plying her with alcohol, mate. She doesn't drink.
Hey, she was on top form, mate. It was good to see her. Listen, before I say anything too bad, I will let you go, mate. But as per usual, you're an absolute ledge, and I will see you at Oulton. And thanks for your input, Captain.
Cheers, chap. See you then. Safe travels.
Cheers, Matty. Bye, mate.
Bye.
Bye. Ooh, wow, what a tune. Matt Neal, interesting. Love Matt Neal. Matt just tells it how it is, and sometimes myself, who I'm thinking, oh, just please be careful, Matt, don't say anything bad. But at the end of the day, he's a genuine stalwart of the championship, and he likes to say what he thinks. So I think that's fantastic. and it's good for you fans to hear someone like that and actually be sweet. I tell you what, let's get hold of Adam Morgan, and then we'll speak to Jade Edwards. So let's get hold of my man Adam. Let's see where he is, see where he's at, see what's going on. Obviously had that mega result at the reverse grid race 3 at Brands Hatch. Fingers crossed the answers. I'm a bit late actually.
Hello.
Adam Morgan, I'm so glad you've answered. I'm so sorry, mate. It's 3:30 and I said it'd be like 3 o'clock, so I will not keep you that long. You all right?
Your timekeeping's terrible.
I know, yeah. Even Matt Neal. I just spoke to Matt and he was like, mate, what time did you call this? You said you were ringing at this time. I was like, I'm so sorry, mate. Nightmare.
I've not had any food. I've been waiting for an hour.
Matt said he was stripped down naked, ready to go, and he had to put his clothes back on. Oh, mate.
I like it.
How are you, fella? How's family life? How's everything else? I've seen you at the Grand Prix with Norman, but yeah, it's been mad, isn't it? It's been pretty busy for us, isn't it, in motorsport?
Yeah, I mean, it's good now. Everything's, back to normal and opening up and stuff, so that's really good. And like I said, F1 was good, Grand Atmosphere. It was very, very hot, if you're ginger. Very, very hot. And I just had a week away in Menorca.
Nice.
So I'm almost the same colour as Tom Chilton.
No one will ever be that colour, mate.
I'm not. I'm still Casper the Friendly Ghost, so yeah, still the same.
Oh, mate, I love it. Is it good to be back? You're looking forward to Oulton?
Yeah, it's a great track result. It's great to drive. It's one of those. It's a proper driver's circuit, and we had a great result there last year. It's not been kind to us in the past, but it says it favours rear-wheel drive. So we've had those 2 days testing. So hopefully, we'll have a good setup to start with, and hopefully be on the front foot.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that actually, because it was a bit hit and miss, wasn't it? The testing, because it was wet and then dry, and then I know WSR, who run the BMWs for Colin, Tom and Stephen, they were saying that they made about 6 million spring changes and hardly got out on track.
Yeah, it was one of those where it dried up, everyone went on track, then it started spitting and went to that horrible greasy stage, so everyone went back in the pits and you sit there and wait for it to dry again. And it was difficult to know your pace everybody else's, because everyone was maybe on a wetter setup or a drier setup to what you were on. So you just have to stick to what you were trying to achieve, and just keep working through. But it's a frustrating couple of days of with the weather, but it's the same for everyone. You just have to get on with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and you've got to get your head down over here. And you guys being a tough northern hard-working team, that's what you got to do. But you've been to Oulton Park a lot of the times. I remember when I've been covering it with ITV, you've either been in the lead of the championship, battling for the lead of the championship, or you've had a race win there like you did last year. So is it somewhere that you really look forward to going, not because it's your home track, but do you always have good memories of what's going on generally at Oulton?
Yeah. Oulton, like I said, it is our local track. It's local for our sponsors as well, so it's going to be a really busy weekend for us. And in the past, when we're back in the Merc, it's normally about round 4 or 5, when the calendars were normal. And like I said, we went there once, I think we were leading the championship, so it was always a difficult circuit for us because we were always carrying loads of weight. And it's probably one of the worst track on the calendar for carrying weights because it's so hilly, which made life really difficult for us in the Merc. But this year, no weights, rear-wheel drive. It's still a little bit of a learning curve because we're still, adapting to the setup and the changes we need to make for qualifying and for a damp or a wet track. But yeah, hopefully we can be in the mix.
Yeah, this is a bit of a tricky question, this, Adam, and I know that you're dead honest, and I think I know the answer to this anyway, mate, because I know the team I'm going to ask you about. But with these new 330i's you've got, are you more than happy with the support that you've had from WSR? Because I've just spoke to Matt Neal and he was like, well, Dynamics always give every customer everything, and I'm sure you don't feel like WSR aren't giving you everything.
No, WSR have been really good to us. They are giving us advice. We're getting little bits of data. they could really have sold us the cars and said, right, that's it, off you go, boys, you're on your own.
Yeah.
But we can ring them up whenever we want. They're really helpful. And like I said, we get a little bit of data after each session. Not necessarily the fastest laps of Colin or something like that, but we'll get maybe the second fastest or third fastest lap. But just as an overlay, that's really useful for anybody, just to compare where we are to them.
That's business,
so
though, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That might stop if we get a bit quick. And hopefully, that's what we're aiming to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not. I mean, mate, that last win, that reverse grid race, absolutely fantastic for you guys. It was lovely to see all the comments, and people don't realise how hard it has been behind the scenes, especially Norman Burgess, who I know is a figurehead for you guys. You've all worked so hard to get those deals together. It must have been great. The sponsors must have been made up, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it was like I said, over the winter and the testing program, and the amount of work Norman's put in, and my band and the whole team. Really, it's been a busy old few months, and it's a reverse good win. It's not an outright win, but a win's a win. We will take it no matter what. And I made it difficult for myself with having two massive lockups and nearly thrown it away. But no, it was mega. And in our first year in a rear-wheel drive, on the podium and on the top step, we can't complain about that.
No, definitely. And what are you going to get from Oulton, mate? Are you going to be there smashing it, or are you thinking, right, if we get in the top six, we're absolutely mint? What have you got to do to the car to make it into that that top six in qualifying? Is there a lot you've got to do?
Well, that's exactly what we're working on, and that was one of the things we were meant to be doing at the 2-day test. Is working on a qualifying setup.
Yeah.
And but I don't think we're a million miles away. We're on the sort of fringe of the top 10. We should have been P9 at Brands, but I got pinged for track limit, so I was back in 21st. So the pace is thereabouts. Just when we put new rubber on, what we found confusing with the BM is you can go out on older tyres, put a lap time in and go, wow, that's mega. Put some new on it, we'll be flying. And then you put new on and you improve by like a tenth, 2 tenths. Yeah. It's like, oh, what's going on there? We need to find half a second, So we're still working on that. But the goal for me this weekend is just be at the front for quali. It's a difficult track to overtake. So if you can start race one near the front, hopefully that should put you in good stead for the weekend.
Yeah, no, for sure, mate. No, definitely. And yeah, it's a new ball game, isn't it, when you're in a rear-wheel drive car, especially around there. There's places where the traction's great, but then you're going to miss out on maybe high-speed corners. But the Hondas, who do you think's going to be up there, actually? Obviously you guys, but Hondas look fast, don't they?
Those Hondas this year look, yeah, they are rapid. Yeah. And it's, every time I watch Gordon, I'm like, bloody hell, he's like, when he's on the brakes, the car's wiggling around, moving. I'm like, fair play. But the usual people. I think Jake Hill will be quick. I think Josh was really quick there a few years ago, or last year. Tom Ingram will be quick. Colin, I presume, will be the usual suspects. But this year, I said to a few people, this year I think is probably the most competitive season I've raced in.
Wow.
If you go back to Brands, everyone was lapping within 2 tenths, 3 tenths, and no one could really move up the order because it was that close. So it's going to be really tough and tricky, and that's why qualifying is going to be so important.
Yeah, no, definitely, mate. Ad's very, very, very last question, fella. You know him better than I do. I've known him for years, but what's happening with Tom? What's he complaining about? Is it just the difficulty of getting used to rear-wheel drive? Is it something else, or is it, what is it, mate? Like, because I've got to ask the question.
Yeah. Well, Tom doesn't complain. He's always happy.
Yeah.
And he's mega. He's always happy. With Tom, he's been driving front-wheel drive cars for a lot longer than me. I don't know what he's done before that's rear-wheel drive. So there might be him adapting to it, might be taking a little bit longer than I have, because I've come from rallying and I've come from Ginettas.
Yeah.
So I've got a bit more experience maybe than him. I think he's, Tom's quick. There's no question about it. And, given time, I'm sure, at the tyre test, we were very equally matched. So, that we've gone sort of separate ways on setup at times, and we've started to come back together now. So, I think I'm pretty sure soon we'll have, hopefully, Tom and I both at the sharp end. Yeah,
I think you're right. It does remind me of Aidan Moffat's very difficult first season in rear-wheel drive.
Yeah, I've got to admit, when I first jumped in, because obviously we went testing in the 1 Series before the 3 Series arrived, and I jumped in it and thinking, this is mega, this is going to be jump in, away you go. And I remember we were at Donington, and I scared myself. No, I'm not going to lie about it. I was like, this is not easy, this is tricky. And but it does take a year, and there's just little techniques that you've just got to learn and just adapt to. I think driving the car on the limit, I don't think it's an issue. I think I always knew I could do that, but there's just little bits like there's braking, for example, I think is the biggest one. There's not as much weight transfer to the front. You obviously haven't got a diff on the front, and it's managing that and stuff. But at the end of it, they are mega to drive. They are absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
I drove the 1 Series in place of Andy Prio at Donington on a media day, and I couldn't get my breath how much I could not feel through the car. I was like I couldn't feel anything, because I'm used to the diff working through the steering wheel and knowing where I am. And I was petrified of touching a curb, going on the, I was petrified of the thing. And as you get used to it, like you say, it's little bits and bobs, because even heel and toeing down the box, you have to get it absolutely perfect, or it'll snatch and you'll run on and miss apexes and stuff, won't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this year, I've always been a right foot braker. As soon as we said we're going rear wheel drive, I've taught myself to left foot brake over the winter. Perfect. So that's probably another element of the braking side, but it's coming on. But yeah, to drive, when I got into a rhythm of it and started pushing on, I remember I kept coming out of corners doing these big drifts, and I'm just on the radio, like, did you see that? Did you see that? They're like, Adam, that's slow. Stop messing around. Get on with it.
Proper old school,
old school
Roberto
drifting,
Roberto Ravaglia.
Yeah, that's it. Scandi flicking it into all these corners.
Oh mate, I love it. Absolutely love it. Well, listen, I'm going to let you crack on, lad. I've took enough of your time. Thanks for sticking with us. Really appreciate it. Good luck at the weekend.
Not a problem.
Hopefully catch you there, mate.
Nice one. Cheers, Paul.
Cheers, ads. Bye, mate.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Bye. Alrighty then. Adam Morgan. There's a few crackers in there, wasn't there? Nice. We like that. Love ads, because he always says it how it is as well. Same as Matt Neal. Not trying to hide behind what is going on. So, top man. Right, last but not least, because she's a lovely woman, is Jade Edwards. Let's see if we get hold of Jade. And then that'll be us. Come on, Jade. Don't let us down.
Hello.
Oh, hi, Jade. It's Paul O'Neill here.
Oh, hi, Paul. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks. I always worry when I ring people like you or Adam Morgan, who's just been on, because I'm like, I just know they're going to think I'm not recording, and I can't edit this, so just don't do it.
There was a clip from Formula E at the weekend where I think it was Dario Franchitti spoke to Alex Lynn after he won, and Alex Lynn didn't realise he was live on TV and swore, and obviously had to apologise for it. But I actually thought it was the best thing I'd watched all day, to be honest. It was amazing.
I've got a hoodie on and I'm now sweating.
I know, but it's okay. I've answered the phone. I've not sworn. We're good.
You have done me a massive favour, and Martin Reardon will edit this for us. He'll love it for it. Listen, firstly, Oh my word, congratulations on what I thought was an amazing, not debut, but a pretty high profile thing that you did at Silverstone with the virtual pit tours and stuff, working with our very own Lou Goodman. How was that for you? You seem like a duck to water with that.
Yeah, it was a whole new challenge. So for the last couple of years, those that know, I've been doing sort of F1 hosting, but literally at the races. So hosting real life guests. But obviously during COVID, they've created this virtual paddock club. So it's like a pre-qualifying and pre-race show. And I actually led or co-presented with Louise Goodman for the Silverstone round. So it was new for me to have a microphone and not be interviewed. I'm always the one answering the questions, whereas this time I was the one asking them. And thankfully my main guest that I had was Sarah Moore, and she was absolutely brilliant. So I interviewed her from start to finish, and she was my first guest that I properly interviewed. But yeah, loved it. Amazing. Absolutely loved it. And Louise was mega. Louise is teaching me lots of things, and yeah, it was a really cool weekend.
She's proper pro, isn't she? But you're on the big screen Pres when I was in the BRDC. And it was just so cool to see you doing it, because it looked like you've been doing it for years. It was mega.
To be honest, most people didn't recognise me because I brushed my hair that weekend. So they were like, it's a girl. It is a real life girl.
Oh my word. Hey, listen, I haven't told you this, but I'm actually on a very lovely woman's drive, and she's in camera at the minute. So Charlie Skelton is actually looking after me. Driveway2Hell, we've done a special, but Charlie, Jade Edwards is on the phone. Actually, you might be able to hear the cat meowing. I haven't run over the cat, have I?
No, I have tried to keep him away.
You've tried to keep him away, yeah?
No, put the cat in the car now and just shut the windows with Paul in it.
Do not listen to Jade Edwards. Oh my word, you'll get me in a load of trouble. Honestly, I pitched up and I was like, Charlie's working from home, and she's like, oh, I'll be with you in 5 minutes. And then I tried to reverse in the drive, nearly took the gate posts off the side of the house. Jade has known me for that long. She knows that is something that I would do, which is horrendous. But actually, I think Charlie might be asking me if I wanted a piece of cake or something.
Well, I've got sticky bun, if you'd like one of those.
Have you? I've not even, no comment. Jade, you'll set Jade off, don't you? Making me sweat.
Don't talk to me about sticky buns.
Oh my word, I'm going to have to edit this so much. Do you know, would I be able to have a sticky bun?
It's not your first time.
Oh, she just said, she's just rescinded that offer. She said you're not having any.
You're welcome to have one, but I didn't think you were allowed.
Oh, I'm allowed to. Jade, why would I not be allowed to?
You know that Owi's diabetic. I'm not sure if you knew.
I have had that information shared. Yes. I've fully up to speed.
Funny that.
So Jade's joke is that she just tells she doesn't tell everyone. I tell everyone, and then she just gives it large about me being diabetic. You remember that time I was in that Ford job? What did I have? A double
heavy head.
So
you had to down a couple of packets of sugar.
I walked across the room, and apparently my head was like, I just couldn't hold my head up. I mean, I shouldn't laugh about having a hypo, but Jade thought it was hilarious, didn't you, Jade? Oh, Jade, have you gone?
She's cut off.
Well, I think she's done one. That's very nice. We'll bring her back. She's actually.
More editing.
I better. Oh no, we don't edit nothing in this show. Yeah, we'll carry on. Actually, do you know what? I will not have a sticky bun because that will probably do me in. Yeah. But would I be able to have a bit of water? Because I'm like finishing up in 5 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
You are a hero. Yeah. Thank you so much, Charlie. That was very kind.
Okay.
I hope your husband isn't coming back in a bit.
No.
That was a joke.
No, I wish he was.
I wish he was, yeah. Probably to get rid of me. Right, let's give Jade a ring again, because I think she actually did that on purpose and got rid of me.
Hiya.
Oh my word, did you just do that on purpose? That was so awkward.
No, I would actually accidentally put it on mute because I was in the middle of a really funny thing to say, and I've ruined it because I muted myself.
Oh God, as long as you didn't mute yourself. So what was you going to say? Charlie's gone now, just get me a water.
No, I was just going to say, do you remember back in the day, those footballers with the bobbleheads?
Oh my
like the
God.
Wobbly bobbleheads.
Yeah,
that's what you were like on that Ford job.
That was one of the worst jobs I've ever had in my life, that was. And yours.
Yeah, it was.
Anyway.
That was this time in 2017. We just finished that 2-week Millbrook job.
That's ridiculous, isn't it?
Came up on my phone.
And I had the hardest job in the world, didn't I?
Under that Easy app or whatever it was.
Anyway, let's not comment any more about that job. Jade Edwards, it's like This Is Your Life. I'm holding a big piece of paper here. So we're going to talk about Oulton, but I know you've scored your first point at Snetterton, and I know you pretty well. You don't even care about that, do you?
It was, I tell you what it was nice to round off a fairly tricky weekend. Like I make it no secret that Snet's not my favourite circuit, so I'd had race 1 and 2, I'd struggled, and I started to drop my head a little bit and think this is pretty difficult. And so the point for me was more about a bit of a confidence boost and a bit of a morale booster than it was about the point itself. Obviously it's nice to get on the board, and that's why I made a joke about it on social media and carried my single point around for me for a couple of days and said me and my point at home, and you know what I mean, like it was cool. And it's nice for the sponsors to see that I went from, I don't know, 23rd to 15th. That was impressive, and to fight off JP for the race was pretty cool. And there was lots of aspects to it. You know, the point was just part of it. It's not something I'm going to shout too loudly about. I just want to gather a few more.
Do you know what's really interesting though is that when I used to race, I'd get points all the time because it was not that hard.
Penalty points,
yeah. Pinged points, penalty points. The thing is, at the minute, and Adam Morgan has just said it, he said it's the most competitive year of British touring cars that he has ever driven in. So, to score any type of points, and you can look down that order and see that Tom Chilton, multiple race winner, has actually got, and I don't want to get this wrong, only got 8 points, and he is in one of the best cars in the championship. And I know your car's not too shabby, but still, that shows you how hard it is, doesn't it?
I think for me it's how close we all are over a single lap. So Brands Hatch, I know it's only the Indy circuit, but it was prime example of that. Like if someone said to me at the start of the year, you can be 3/10 off Josh Cook in the same car in a British touring car qualifying session, I would have bitten your hand off for that. Like that to me, I can only compare to my teammates, but 3/10 off him was P23 on the grid. And I said to someone, I've never had such a sweat on for 23rd. You know, it's like, it's mental. So it's competitive, but we're all within that benchmark, you know, and there's good drivers in maybe lesser cars and there's lesser drivers in good cars, and I'm probably one of those that have got a really good car underneath me. I just need to learn it. That's all I need to do. It's like people look at my data and they go, do you know what, you're not actually doing anything wrong, it's just a bit of confidence here or a bit of knowledge there, and it's little bits at every corner. I'm not you know, same as anyone on the grid. None of us are driving badly, we're all just so competitive.
It's definitely pushed everyone on a bit. I remember watching at Cascades about 3 or 4 years ago, and I couldn't get my breath how fast the 20th placed person looked against pole man or pole woman. It was unreal. Like it's just moved on so much, and I bet that was a really frustrating couple of days for you then at Oulton, because you didn't get massive amounts of running. You weren't there for the day one, were you? Or did you not? You didn't drive?
Yeah, no, we were there for both days, but we weren't doing much wet running. So basically, I didn't get in the car each day until about 2:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And then day one was just hindered by more. Basically, every time it rained, we boxed basically. Yeah. So we were hindered by those rain showers. But by day 2, we had a little bit more dry running. And you know, for me, I'm not gifted with the whole mechanically minded upbringing. I didn't go to college or anything like that. So the 2 days for me was all about learning setup of the car and almost putting drastic things on the car so I could feel it. And by the end of day 2, we were, I think, just outside the top 10 on old tyres. And you know, when Josh looks at my lap and raises one eyebrow, doesn't actually say a compliment, but he'll raise an eyebrow and nod. You know that you've done an okay job, because he doesn't dish out the compliments too often, but you know when he nods at you, you've done all right.
That is very true. But you know, I did this the other day, and I don't, you know, a lot of the drivers don't see what I say or whatever, but I did say that Jack Goff was going to have his best weekend at Brands Hatch, and he actually did. He was brilliant. For me, I honestly do think that you're going to be a star of Oulton Park this weekend, and I'm not Mystic Meg, but I just kind of like to put my educated guess in order. And the reason I say that is because you've got a bit more time in the car now. The Honda FK8 looks like the better car to have for Oulton, and it just looks like all your ducks might be lining up. Is that how you feel? Are you really confident of going there for your best weekend?
Yeah, I think I love Oulton. It's probably second to Thruxton as my favourite circuit on the calendar. So I went to that 2-day test, and it was frustrating to kind of sit out the morning. I don't know if you saw online, I started doing a Josh's Day Out and started photoshopping him on cliff edges and riding horses and stuff like that. So we were sat doing nothing. But, when the laps that I did do, I was working hard, and me and my engineer's brilliant. He takes the time with me to kind of learn the setups and teach me about things. And towards the end of the day, I was sat behind, I think it was Adam Morgan in that Beamer, and I was slowly reeling him in. And I agree with you. Like, I love the circuit. The car's brilliant on there. And I think if I can qualify well, if I can qualify, 15th or inside that top 15, then we'll have a whole different weekend on our hands. I think what I've struggled with at the moment, and I've openly admitted it, is that I'm letting myself down in qualifying, which then hinders me for race day.
Yeah, definitely. And for qualifying, for me, if it's dry, well, if it's wet, you've got the best teammate, Josh Cook. He should have won that last year, but he had the ride-out infringement, didn't he?
Yeah.
But, I mean, such a good guy to learn off. Was there anything that was surprising that he told you about Oulton Park? Techniques or anything like that?
No, not massively. I mean, for me, I've got two brilliant teammates. You've obviously got Josh, who's got to lead in the way, and you just overlay data, and you can just, and like I said to you before, there's nothing on the data that's huge. It's all just carry a bit more speed here or break a smidge later there. So he's not doing anything that's magical around Oulton Park. It's just a combination of a driver that works super hard with a good car that he's engineered very well, and it all comes together at certain circuits. And Thruxton's one of those for Josh. He's almost unbeatable around there, and Oulton has always been strong for him. So, and then I've got Senna, who's jumped in. He's Mr. Happy Chappy, and he says to me, follow me whenever you need to, copy my setup, do whatever, and he compliments me along the way. And, together, all three of us are just working very well. They know that I'm, number 3 in the team in that sense, but they are so desperate to bring me up as close to them as possible that at some point the ducks are going to line up properly and we're all going to have a really strong weekend, and I'm hoping that it's this weekend coming.
Yeah, no, I can see that happening, and I think Senna's actually very underrated, if I'm honest.
He's very impressive, and I think he's jumped into this Honda and just got on with it straight away. And he's proving to everyone what he's learned over these last few years, and actually maybe having a bit of time off and sitting on the sofa and watching a race or two, from the sidelines, it's kind of given him that fire again. And it proved that Oulton, he just jumps in the car, posts a great time, and then drives home in a caddy van, with flapjacks in the back, because that's his girlfriend's company. He drove his girlfriend's van, came and put it on P1 and drove home in a manual caddy van. So there's no ego in our team.
No, I was going to say, do you know what? I think all of you have got random cars or have had random cars in the past, haven't you?
Definitely.
Absolutely nuts. So that's you then. Try and get in the top 15 for quali, and then that'll be it. Then we'll crack on, because the second half of the year will be great, won't it?
Yeah, that's the plan for me. I just want to keep getting better and better, and now I've got my bogey circuit out the way, which is Snet. I can't wait to get back to Thruxton, because I felt good round there, and it was my first time in the car, really. So to go back there with a bit more confidence and a bit more knowledge, I bloody love that place. So I'm going to be hanging on to Josh as best I can, and Senna, and hopefully having one of my strongest results towards the end of the year. So if I can just keep getting better, scoring some points, I'll be happy.
Sounds cool. Charlie, does that sound good to you?
It does. Good luck, Jade. Do it for the girls.
Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How cool. Well, listen, I think collectively we'll all say bye, but I just want to say thanks to Andy and Chaz for letting me park on their drive, not run over their cat and abuse Jade Edwards on Downforce Radio's special Driveway to Hell. So thank you, Jade.
No problem. Enjoy your sticky buns.
Yes, I will, while Andy's not here. Sorry,
See you later, guys.
See you later. Cheers, mate. See you in a bit.
See ya, bye.
Cheers, bye. Charlie, thank you so much. I don't think I've got anything in here. Matt Neal said that I've probably robbed your house without knowing. But yeah, I think...
You didn't leave your vehicle.
No. Well, I can hardly get the thing.
At least, and you didn't take the nemesis, which is the posts on our drive, to every visitor.
Do people nearly get them? I was so close. I was reversing, going, ah!
I hate your drive.
Oh, honestly, well, because I'm a professional driver. Honestly,
exactly. If you take them out, I would have laughed.
I was backing in, and I was like, how awkward would this be if I ran over the cat, the dog, knock the post down? I was like, a nightmare. Well, listen, I've got to rush home for 5:10, so it'll take me about an hour to get back. Yes. Thank you for your hospitality. Really appreciate it.
Andy will be gutted that he's missed you.
Don't worry, he's boring anyway. Sorry, Andy. But yeah, Charlie, you're an absolute ledge. And guys, we'll see you at Oulton. Driveway to Hell is done. The special. Thanks Downforce Radio, because it was in association with you. Peace out. Mwah.